The reason why Game of Thrones died is not what you think. There is this very common misconception in the world that the reason Game of Thrones died, and like it really did and horrifyingly so, was because the books weren't finished. And well, it's partially true, but it's not the whole truth, the way people say it. The show died because the showrunners did not care about what comes after the Red Wedding. It's been out there for ages, you can look it up. The reason they wanted to adapt the series is because they wanted to put the Red Wedding on the small screen. All the cracks you might have seen in the first 3 seasons start immediately breaking down afterwards in season 4 already. And this is still the same book in which season 3 happens. And that's not to say that 4 is bad, but it's the one where they really start to ignore important parts of the books, especially in later parts of the season. And the thing is, the showrunners were not bad at their job. In fact, the show has some amazing scenes that were not and never could have been in the book. Talk about Robert Baratheon and Cersei's scenes together. A lot of Robb Stark's scenes that actually turn him from a major non-POV in the books into straight up one-off, if not the main character of the show. And that's something where a showrunner who genuinely cared about these or dance could have elevated the show. You don't get to do POVs in TV the same way you do in books. There are characters whose stories we could have seen more of starting from season 5. And this might be a controversial take, but imagine if we got to see the world through the eyes of Aegon VI. Have his little squad established as actual real characters for show watchers to enjoy, like characters with little stories of their own. Imagine if we got to see the continuation of the Riverland story through the eyes of the Blackfish, a fan favorite. We could have connected Dorne into the story through the eyes of Ellaria Sand, an already established character. And I'm not saying that they should have written a bunch of fan fiction, but just do what they did with Bobby B and Robb Stark and so on. Brienne gets a story arc in season 5, but it has absolutely nothing to do with her book story. We do get Lord Commander Jon Snow, we do get Queen Daenerys and Meereen, we do get Tyrion traveling in Essos, but these stories are also just completely bastardizing the TV show. It's like, yeah, let's take some of the big scenes and then just fill in the rest with some bowl. Never mind the big stories that were straight up just not adapted, or instead reduced to a few poor scenes like Stoneheart and Aerion and Dorne, Aegon, the Iron Islands, Jaime in the Riverlands. And one thing that annoys me is when people say these stories were ignored because they were not integral to the end game of the story, like they didn't need to be adapted. But if that's the case, then why tell the story at all? Why tell a 7-book story if you only care about the end game? That makes no sense. The show already started dying in season 4, and it became clear in seasons 5 and 6 until season 7 came out, and what even was that? And then season 8 wasn't even Game of Thrones, it was just like a bad parody. It was like a social experiment or something. But no, the reason the show died isn't because there wasn't book material left. But it also wasn't because the showrunners just sucked. It was because the showrunners did not care about anything other than the first 3 books up until the Red Wedding.